there, everyone. It's Jenn, the board game librarian, and we're doing a dual review again. I'm with Matt, the dice chucker.
Today we're looking at Mistborn House War, published by Crafty Games, designed by Kevin Wilson. This game is for 3 to 5 players, and it takes about 1 to 2 hours to play.
And we're also joined with Nicole Kidman here in the back. Ooh, Nicole Kidman. I mean, come on. Okay. So, this is a game that we had played last summer with, we have been taught by our friend Joe Don. We played with our other friend Fred. And so it was a 4-player game. And then we played it, I think every time we've played it, it's been a 4-player game, yes. Correct?
Mm-hmm. So we're going to go down to the table and see how it plays. Okay, so let's take a look at Mistborn House War. I'm going to have a brief disclaimer here. This is a very long board, so I'm going to be moving the recording equipment a little bit, so I hope that doesn't make anybody sick. And let me get this out of the way. That shouldn't be there. Okay, so in Mistborn House War, you are looking to basically solve problems that come up. And at the beginning of the game, you are going to gain a house card. It tells you at the beginning of your turn what resources you get and how many personality cards, which are over there. They change the game, and basically how you negotiate. And that's how many cards you draw at the beginning of each turn. So everyone has some different, and it's got some flavor text down there, some different resources that they gain and cards that they gain. But these are basically all the houses, and there's quite a bit of it, so there's good replayability. And I'm just kind of showing you all of them. That's pretty much it. All right, so at the beginning of your turn, you're going to gain those resources, and there's a lovely little cheat sheet on the back here. So, what you're trying to do is solve problems. Let's take a look at this one. This is called the Lord Ruler's Disfavor. And you need all these resources to solve this problem. And when solved, add 1 problem to the board. What does this volcano mean? Let me put this back down. The volcano means, I'm going to try to do this without making a lot of noise. When the problem worsens to the point where it says problems erupt, that means the effect of that problem is what's gonna happen. Okay? So, checking one thing here. There we go. So the second thing you do is you worsen the problems, which means, and I'm going to move it again, I shouldn't have moved it back, you're going to move each problem to the next column. All these spaces are open when you add new problems, which is the next one. You're going to draw a new problem, and what you're going to look for is the column number, and you'll put it there. All right? Now, when you have a 3-player game, you only do the top 2 rows when it's a 4+, as you can see, just there. Now, a lot of times, I'm trying to find one here. Oh, I don't seem to see anyone. Thought I set it up good. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm trying to find one. So, for example, this one right here. If the problem would erupt, we would add 2 unrest. We'll take this little figure here and push it up by 2. If it ever gets to 8, as you can see over here, the game will end. And you'll add up favor and subtract your disgrace. And those are victory points and negative victory points. Whoever has the lowest score wins. So on your turn, you're going to choose which problem you'd like to help solve. This is all about the game you want to play. You can choose to play the game of, I want unrest to skyrocket because I'm going to collect a ton of negative victory points. Or you can be like, I'm going to solve all the problems and take all the victory points. So you say, let's say I want to try to do this one. Boop. So all you need is a food, a ska, and warriors to complete that one. You can choose to do it yourself, or you can choose to ask for help around the table and see who is willing to help you. This is where the negotiation comes in. What can you negotiate? Well, anything you got. They might want a resource that they can't generate. They might want some personality cards. They might want part of the victory points. So you kind of deal with that. And once you come to an agreement, it's usually set. Sometimes you can play cards out of the personality deck that'll change how the deal is going. These are the personality cards. They're all pretty straightforward. Until the end of the turn, the cost to solve 1 problem is lowered by those resources. And some of them are play face down on your turn. At the end of the game, reveal this personality, gain 2 disfavor, 2 disgrace for each food your house supplies. And there's plenty of them, and the artwork is fantastic. Anyway, so you can use personality cards to either make sure the deal doesn't change, or you can change the deal last minute. And somebody else who has no stake in that event can choose to play cards if it says play at any time. So like I said, the cards are pretty straightforward. Once that problem is solved, you're going to take it here. You're going to put it into a discard, and then you'll go on to the next one. If something ever says to ruin a resource, you're going to take one of these little ruin tokens. Let me just grab a house, and you're going to put it on a resource. So now this house produces all of this, but not that anymore. That's what a ruined resource does. Other things will tell you disgrace. Disgrace are negative victory points, and there's tokens for that, and then the positive victory points are favor. That's a lot of what you're going to be dealing with. The game will end when Vin is put on the board, and she either gets solved or the problem erupts. Now, when the problem erupts, you'll see that it adds 4 unrest. So some people are going to want to try to solve this problem. Some people are going to want to try to force it as far as they can for the negative victory points or lowest victory points to win. So it's really got that neat little thing going on. Sometimes it'll say destroy a resource, so everyone has to destroy a certain resource, and all those destroyed resources go here, because once you get a resource, once you spend resources, they go back to available resources. But if enough resources start to get destroyed, then it's going to be harder for you to solve problems. You can also choose, let's go back, to pass and solve no problems at all, and say, I'm going to take a resource or draw a personality card because I want this thing to go poorly. I'll put that there. So like I said, that'll all happen until Vin either gets solved or erupts. And depending on how the game ends is how the game will score. That's pretty much it. There's not a heck of a lot to describe with this. The rulebook is very good in describing what you need to do. And at the end of the day, like I said, this is a negotiation game. You're trying to negotiate these problems. All right, so if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them in a timely manner. See you then, everybody. Are you ready to go back in? And we're back. That's basically how to play the game. It's pretty simple, and I think I would just kind of call this game a straight negotiation game. Would you agree?
I would. So some context too, if you are not familiar with the theme and or IP, this is based on Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn universe. Most specifically, the events that take place in the Final Empire book. So do you think that you had to have read the book to enjoy the game?
It helps. Okay. I would definitely say it helps because of the style of game this is. You are playing the bad guys, as I said in the how to play, and trying to solve the problems that are coming up. And you know, in the book, you do get that kind of feel of this nobility are trying to solve problems, not in the best way, but they're trying to solve problems. And the fact that when the Vin card either gets solved or goes past the eruption, the game ends. Very thematic on it. However, I don't think you need to read the book to enjoy the game.
So Matt has read one of the books, correct?
Yes.
And I have not read any of them.
I made the big mistake of reading The Final Empire, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second, and then not going into the next book and starting Stormlight Archive.
Yeah, I read a lot. If you follow this channel, almost every Saturday I pump out a book review. I don't have time for long fantasy epic series. Not that I don't want to read them.
It's a shame.
But
you're waiting for the movie.
Yeah, that'd be a lot. So we have played this as a variety of different houses as well too. And I would say some houses are definitely better than other houses.
But that doesn't mean, that you're out of play if you have one of the worst houses. Because, especially House Venture has the two Atium or Atium. However, don't at me, okay? I gotcha. pronunciation, I think, in fantasy books is up to your imagination. It's fantasy. Say it however you want. You get 2 of those, which are a wild resource, but there are some problems that need it. So if you've got House Venture on the board, you're going to be looked at every time a problem comes up because you've got the wild resource. Now, you can either choose to be generous or you can choose to be a jerk. So it's up to you.
Depends on what kind of game you're playing.
True.
Now,
So
I always play where I'm not a jerk.
Well, in the theme of the world, you kind of are the jerk. Because you're keeping everything up. But if you're trying to force that unrest, you're a jerk in the game, but not in the book. If that makes sense.
I found it very interesting on the back here. It has the stars for luck, learning ease, strategy, and interaction. And for luck, it only has 1 out of 5 stars. And I would definitely agree on that. The luck is going to come from the
Personality cards?
Personality cards and how they're shuffled, and I guess how the problems come up too. But other than that, you're kind of on your own in terms of how you're negotiating with people. So for folks who are not into super luck-based games,
it's a good one.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
Now, we've had varying success with playing this game.
So, the first time we played with Joe, Don, and Fred, we played the game as it is meant to be. However, there have been times we've played this where, especially in those first 2 rounds, people try to make it cooperative. It's not a cooperative game. You really got to go for the throat if you're going to succeed in this game. Don't say, oh, who wants to help me solve this problem? Do you want to help me? And there was one time, I think, when we played at the store, and it was like, sure. Well, and there was no, what do you want? It was just, do you want to help me solve this problem?
Yeah.
And I think after the first 2 rounds, when people realized, oh, you're getting victory points for me helping you? Okay,
Yeah.
I got to start negotiating. This is not the co-op I thought it was.
Yeah, you definitely have to, when you are negotiating, ask for something in return. I think promises then are binding, but future promises are not binding.
It's depending on the personality cards that come out. Now, you could choose to be nice and not get any reward at the start to solidify that you can be depended upon.
Or go very low.
Or go very low and say, I'm going to make you not get that problem solved.
Yeah, and of course, depending on what game you're playing, if you want to speed the track along, you're going to be looking for low points, correct?
Yes. There are setup rules for short, medium, and long games that depend on when Vin comes out. So, you know, if you want to kick the game into, you know, a fast mode, you either ask for the short game or you be that person that causes unrest to skyrocket really quick.
I think it helps if you actually get into this game.
True.
Like, a la Cosmic Encounter. I'll throw that out because that's another one that I think is a lot of pure negotiation. You need to get into this, and if that's not necessarily your jam, this game is not going to be for you. Because half of the fun is the table talk that happens at each time a problem comes up, and what am I going to get? What are you going to get? How things roll.
Right. Now, if you're a Brandon Sanderson fan or a Sander fan,
is that what they're calling themselves now?
I don't know. I just kind of threw that out there. Let's see if it sticks. Maybe it already is. Don't at me. Okay. There are 2 other IPs that have adopted his work. Stormlight Archive Call to Adventure, which is pretty much like it's almost an RPG character creator.
Yeah.
But you've got Stormlight Archive stuff in there. And there's also the co-op game The Reckoners, which both Jen and I really like. And that was one of those situations where we played the game and then read the book.
Yeah, I'll probably end up reading Mistborn at some point.
Can I talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So when Mistborn first came out, Mistborn was the name of the series, and the first book was called The Final Empire. I'd have to check, but I do believe nowadays that it's just called Mistborn. The Final Empire title is not even on the books anymore, or it's like a small subtitle, because people just say, oh, have you read Mistborn? And when people look for it in the store, I think it just says Mistborn now. But it has gone through a title change, because when I first picked it up at the library, I thought I had the wrong book because I thought it was the last one in the series. And it wasn't. That was just the name of the book. I could be wrong. I can be wrong, you know.
So of the 3 games / books, which do you think is the closest to its source material in terms of theme?
They're all very good. Brandon Sanderson has been very supportive of turning his books into games. I believe he even put out a poll 1 or 2 months ago asking, how would you like to see this book implemented into a board game?
Yeah.
Or implemented into a game, and I believe board game was an option. And to see that 3 of his materials have been adapted into board game, none of them have been adapted into TV show or movie, says a lot. I think it says Sanderson's really big into having his material adapted this way, and I think he does well. All 3 are very close thematically. I would love to see the opposite of this, if they can find a way to make a Mistborn game where you are the good guys.
Oh.
I use that in quotes because I got a lot of friends who say that the Empire in Star Wars are the good guys. They've created order in the galaxy, and these people are trying to ruin it.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna play that angle. All right, that's sure. Artwork on this, I think, is pretty good. Yes. It's got that kind of watercolory feel to it. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's not. Components are very good. You know, it's standard board game components, a couple of minis, mostly cards and shits.
Yeah. I will say, as a reader of Mistborn, a lot of this artwork is spot on for what I imagined. And that's always good. It's always a plus for me.
That's good.
So, how would you rate this, Jen?
Being
one of the few negotiation games we've played.
That's a tough one. So it took us a long time to get this to the table because
COVID.
Because there's 2 of us, and this is 3 to 5 players. And then asking people to play negotiation games sometimes is often very difficult.
If you have one bad experience with a negotiation game, usually you never touch another one.
Yeah, and that's fair. I understand that. So this is almost like a right crowd, right game kind of moment. And I think my experience has widely varied.
Okay.
Last time we played it, I think I really tried to get into the negotiation. Each time I really tried to amp up the negotiation. My rating depends on who I'm playing it with, I guess, and the experience I have. We are not keeping this one.
It is headed to the library.
It is.
Yes, okay. Making sure. It'll have a great life there because of its theme. And people who love Mistborn are going to pick this up.
It is, and it's more likely to get played there with my patrons than it is in this house. Again, 3 to 5 players in this house is just dead in the water. We have very few, and the ones that we have are ones that we know people will play with us. And this was a hard sell sometimes. Like with your friend Larry, our friend Larry loves this game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we ever...
It made him read the book.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we said, hey, Larry, you want me to pick up Mistborn from the library and we'll play it? He would say, sure, yeah, great, love it. But it's... Oh, we did play a 5-player game of it. With
At
Brand.
the store? No, that was 4.
That was 4. Okay.
That was 4.
Never mind. So, yeah, so that's tough. That's tough when I think you like a game, but you know it's never going to get played. In your current situation. How about you, Matt?
So, it's hard for me to rate this game because I see the theme and I see the theme so well implemented that that's going to skew my opinion, right? That's very difficult for me to set aside the theme from the game. And because the game captures the theme well, I would say it's rated high, but once again, this is not staying with us. It's going to the library. But if I ever wanted to play it and we had like a bourbon night or something, say to Jen, hey, bring it home. I'm sure we'll get it played. I would say that as far as the Sanderson games, this one thematically is in the middle. I would put Stormlight Archive Call to Adventure at the bottom, mainly because the theme comes through the artwork, not in the mechanics.
Right.
And this one comes in theme-wise and mechanic-wise, because, like I said, you're playing the bad guys. But I would still rate Reckoners as the big thematic one. That is very well done. Big production, but if you love chucking dice, that's a great game to chuck some dice.
It is, and I think it captures the spirit of the game very well.
So I'm not saying this is a bad game. It's just out of the 3 that have been adapted, this one lies in the middle. And thank you also to Crafty Games for sending us this copy. So yeah, I would rate it around 7.758, mainly because, like I said, the theme for me, since I've read the book, is very much front and center.
Yeah, I'd agree with what you're saying, even though I didn't read the book.
It's very easy reading, and it's very enveloping if you want to read the book. And that's the book I would pair with this game, hopefully, right?
Yeah, I did a board game breakfast with Jason Perez several years ago. He had played the game and the book at that point, read the book at that point. Mm-hmm. So, and he had taught this at the library. I think he had gotten a review copy from Crafty Games. So, yeah, that's it for this. I'm petting a cat down here. So, before we get a floofy tale of the video, I'm Jen, the board game librarian.
I'm Matt, the dice chucker. We're the literary gamers.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.